Released by Capcom in the year 2005 on the Nintendo GameCube and later ported to multiple platforms, Resident Evil 4 was a game that started development in 1998, endured over 6 years of development hell, and became one of the most controversial but successful sequels that saved the franchise. Originally developed on the PS2 as Resident Evil 3, it was then pushed and abandoned as Nemesis became the actual Resident Evil 3. As Resident Evil 4, they made a sequel based on Sons of Spencer, who were superpowered thanks to biotechnology, and the game became an over-the-top hack-and-slash game. Series creator Shinji Mikami felt the game strayed too far from the path but insisted they keep the work done so far, so the project was completed, rebranded, and released in 2001 as a new IP, Devil May Cry. Retrying Resident Evil 4, they drafted a new storyline in which Leon Kennedy returns as a US Stratcom agent, assaulting Spencer's mansion at the same time as Wesker, and the two clash, with Leon getting infected and suffering hallucinations during the game as he explored alongside a young girl and her dog BOW. However, the enemies and gameplay veered in an overly supernatural direction, and development got too expensive, and again the game was scrapped, but parts of the game and script were salvaged and used in a later survival horror game, Haunting Ground, released in 2005, though unfortunately this would be the last project of longtime series writer Noboru Sugimura. Fourth time the charm, written and directed by series creator Shinji Mikami himself, Resident Evil 4 would be developed over pressure that it would spell the end of the series if it wasn't a success, and thus the controversial decision was made to change the genre of the game and reinvent the series. For story, the game would still continue to be about monsters, but not necessarily zombies, and it brought back Leon Kennedy for the first time since Resident Evil 2. Introducing new enemies that were faster, more aggressive, more intelligent, and attacked in large numbers, it complemented the radical formula change to make the game more of a third-person shooter, where enemies had to be fought instead of potentially being ignored. Still, despite being more of an action game, there was a rich amount of cinematics, dialogue, and writing for the story, which was now segmented into chapters. For gameplay, Resident Evil 4 would revolutionize the game industry by pioneering the over-the-shoulder, third-person perspective that would then be seen in hundreds of games since. With a new laser sight aiming system, players now had direct control and precision with firearms, alongside a knife Leon could instantly switch to. There would be plentiful ammo and recovery items as enemies now dropped supplies upon defeat, players could break and loot containers, and there was a robust weapon system that could be upgraded with money the players also collect. In addition, for the first time, the player's health was clearly visible with a health bar that could be also expanded with the new yellow herb. The inventory system would then change from set item slots and a universal bank, and instead feature proportional storage size against the grid. As enemies can now react and be staggered in several ways, so too could Leon engage in contextual counterattacks or close quarters combat. The game would also progress to several different environments, and thus there would be a drop in the amount of puzzles encountered tied into the environment, instead opting for several QuickTime events even during cutscenes. Early in the game, a new character, Ashley Graham, would be a non-combative escort character that would add a new complexity to surviving on behalf of two characters. Finally, additional minigames would return, including Separate Ways and Assignment Ada, in which Ada Wong from Resident Evil 2 now returns and is playable, and the time attack high score mode called Mercenaries returning from Resident Evil 3. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. In 2004, it's been 6 years since the destruction of Raccoon City, and in the past few years, the Umbrella Corporation has been under suspension by the US government pending investigation linking them to the Raccoon City incident and recent bioterrorism, during which the company had gone bankrupt and Umbrella was finally finished. Since then, former cop Leon Kennedy now works for the US government in a special agency that reports directly to the president and has received new training for his job of protecting the president's family. However, the president's daughter Ashley has gone missing, and a lead brings his search to deep rural Spain. His two escorting police officers seem less than enthusiastic to help, especially amidst Leon's signature wit and sarcasm. As they cross a bridge to the outskirts of a nameless village, the police wait in the car and Leon exits to investigate. He's radioed by his operator Ingrid Hunnigan, who keeps him on task with his mission and updates him with new intel. As he approaches the first house, he asks a man within about Ashley, but the man rudely turns him away. Leon apologizes, but the man suddenly picks up an axe and takes a deadly swing at Leon. Leon urges him to stop, but is forced to shoot in self-defense. As soon as he does so, he hears a truck outside start up and crash into the police car, and he sees several more hostile villagers outside. Hunnigan updates him that he is authorized to take any measure to save the subject, but to head to the village for now. Noting the man is not a zombie, but is still a strange killer, he breaks out of the house and deals with his assailants. Checking on the police car, he sees it was dashed against the rocks below, and with the bridge out, Leon has no choice but to move ahead to the village. Helping a dog out of a steel trap, he moves past booby traps in the woods and scenes of gruesome murder that reveal there's something dark about this village. As he spies on the main village from a distance, he sees one of the police officers hung on a hook and burned at the stake, and as he gets closer, the entire village turns to him, now converging on him with a terrifyingly frenzied intent to kill. Jumping inside a house, Leon is alarmed to see them organizing and arming themselves, including revving up a chainsaw and breaking down all barriers to get to him. Unknown to him, he's spotted by an old flame of his, female spy Ada Wong, who despite receiving orders from Wesker regarding sample retrieval, takes the time to distract the horde from Leon. As Leon pushes past barricades to stem the flood of maniacs, the church bell suddenly rings out thanks to Ada, in which all the villagers drop their weapons and like drones, march towards the church, leaving Leon alone entirely. Puzzled at these new events, Leon radios Hunnigan about the hostile situation here and the death of a police officer, and Hunnigan advises him to leave, guiding him to a path out. He sees the villagers were actually on specific orders to attack him from village chief Mendez, and he learns of the location of a prisoner they are keeping. Thinking this prisoner to be Ashley, Leon sticks to investigating further into this village, despite the ominous signs of danger and the elaborate traps prepared by the villagers. Exploring some strange sounds, he discovers a prisoner, though it's not Ashley, and instead a charismatic man named Lewis, who notes Leon isn't the same as the rest of the village. They don't have time to talk as Chief Mendez stomps in, a giant of the man. Leon takes the initiative and strikes first, but Mendez isn't fazed, catching the attack and tossing Leon aside, knocking him unconscious. He is brought to a mysterious man who talks of sharing a new power with him as Leon is injected with a strange egg and he wakes up with a start. Finding himself now chained to Lewis in a new basement, he takes the time to now ask Lewis some questions. Lewis jokes that Leon almost sounds like a cop, but when he sees a photo Leon has, he knows Ashley is the president's daughter, and he overheard the villagers had her in a church somewhere. Lewis explains he used to be a cop himself, but left that life behind, and Leon shares he also used to be a cop, but only for a day, as that was when the Raccoon City outbreak happened. Lewis begins to mention he remembers seeing a sample of the T-virus at a lab at the department, but he's interrupted as a villager comes in to kill them. Using their foe's axe against them, Leon and Lewis escape their bonds. Leon counters the villager with a fatal throw, and Lewis simply runs. Hearing of a secret route to a church in the village, Leon moves out, but is met by a strange merchant who is intent to help Leon with his services to tune up his weapons or provide a good selection of things on sale for a stranger like him to buy. Gearing up and navigating past the Windy Canyon, he finds Chief Mendez's house where he learns Mendez is acting under orders of a person named Lord Saddler, who left specific instructions to leave Leon alive for some reason. Leaving, he is caught by Mendez, who sees Leon is infected and releases him, saying that while they now share the same blood, he's still an outsider and is warned to stop meddling. Confused at what he meant by same blood, Leon is radioed by Hunnigan, who reveals the villagers are part of a religious cult called Los Illuminados, and as Leon moves after Mendez again, Mendez isn't so merciful this time. He stomps down on Leon, but suddenly he's pelted by some gunfire by Ada, who slips away as Mendez gives chase. He does manage to capture her, but she still slips away in the end. Moving on and finding a prominent church, Leon learns Lewis stole something highly valuable that Mendez wants more than Leon or even Ashley, and there's a key that could free Ashley across a lake wherein a monster named Del Lago lives. Finding this lake, he sees the body of a second officer being dumped there as it's quickly consumed by a giant mutated salamander swimming in the lake. Getting in a boat, Leon has no choice but to engage the monster and harpoon it over and over until it eventually succumbs to its wounds and dies, though it almost drags him down with it. Crossing the lake safely now, Leon coughs up blood and collapses over in pain, having a nightmare close to the truth about parasites completely taking over his body. He wakes up 6 hours later as night has fallen, and immediately he notices that strange parasitic creatures now burst out of the bodies of the villagers, almost as if the parasites wear them as a suit. Finding what looks to be a key, he heads back to the church, only to find the villagers trap him in an arena and drag out a giant named El Gigante who smashes everything in sight uncontrollably. The dog he saved earlier arrives and assists Leon in distracting the giant long enough to expose an equally giant parasite within, and with his agility and trusty knife, he's able to fell the Goliath. Returning to the church, he discovers a hidden room, and within he finally finds Ashley safe and sound. He radios Hunnigan for an extraction chopper and she confirms, giving him the location of the landing zone outside the village. Leaping down and sometimes avoiding looking up Ashley's skirt, Leon is soon met by Saddler, the leader of the Los Illuminados cult, who casually reveals Ashley has been injected with the egg of one of their parasites and he intends to have her returned so she may infect the president too. Of course, the ransom money was just a bonus, but he intended to send Ashley back regardless. He also reveals Leon was also injected with an egg, and when they hatch, both of them will be helpless puppet slaves to him. Leon takes Ashley and crashes through a window to escape, calming her concerns of what will happen if the eggs hatch. Naturally, the entire community is rallied to apprehend them, and they are also hunting Lewis, who apparently was once injected with an egg too, but found a way to safely remove it. He receives an update from Hunnigan that their chopper will be delayed since the first one got shot down, and they're prepping a second one. Crossing a village, Leon and Ashley find themselves sandwiched between two mobs and think to hole up in a nearby cabin. Jumping inside and barricading the door, they see Lewis is also there with the same idea. He makes a light introduction to Ashley too, but their focus is drawn to the mob outside. Besieged on all sides, Lewis and Leon do their best to hold out, and only after dozens fall does the mob finally thin out and they pull back. Making it clear he's a threat they shouldn't ignore, Leon navigates Ashley past several ambushes and traps, only to run into Chief Mendez, here to personally stop them. Leon quickly blows up the boss, but all it accomplishes is revealing the true monster within. Destroying the village chief and securing his false eye key, there is now no one here to stop him from leaving the village. The villagers themselves try one last measure to gang up on them, but Ashley and Leon make it to a strange castle and duck inside, closing the bridge off behind them. Unfortunately, they've jumped from the frying pan into the fire, as the castle is actually packed with the Los Illuminados cult, as rogue cult members now use all manner of weapons to get them both. Leon tries to get some guidance from Hunnigan, but the signal is suddenly cut off. They bump into Lewis again, who says he has something to cure their parasites, but dropped it and heads off again. They are then met by Ramon Salazar, lord of this castle, who explains he's been the one to team up with Lord Saddler and gives one last chance for Leon to hand over Ashley. Leon refuses, and so their path forward is blocked. Later executing a bladed but blind prisoner, Ashley now starts helping out as well. However, she soon begins coughing up blood, a sign according to Lewis that the parasite within them is growing. She pushes away Leon in a panic but stumbles into a trap, getting captured and separated from Leon. Wading through the sewers past the early experiments of Los Illuminados, including some human-insect hybrid that can turn invisible called the Novistador, he finds some notes by Lewis down here as well. One is a biology book with notes as he tries to figure out how Las Plagas work, including several real-world examples of parasites that manipulate the thoughts and behaviors of a host in an attempt to affect another host. He then finds a journal detailing the history of the Salazar family, as it turns out they have a long history with Los Illuminados. The first head of the family and castle did not agree with the cult, and took away their rights and power as they sealed Las Plagas beneath the castle. As the current 8th head, Ramon, agreed with Saddler and the cult, return their power and help rejuvenate Las Plagas again, thinking it would cleanse the world. After pushing past more of Salazar's ganados, he makes his way through the garden maze and the zombie dogs within, only to be held up at gunpoint by a woman in a red dress. Leon manages to disarm her, but she's quick to reverse things too. As she kickflips away a gun, Leon grabs his trusty knife and rushes in, and despite her flexibility, Leon simply had better reach as he closes in. Taking away the gun, Leon quickly recognizes her to be Ada, whom he hasn't seen since Raccoon City, and confronts her on the rumor that she works for Wesker now. Ada admits that to be true, but before Leon can ask her any more questions, she drops a flashbang and gets away. Leon sees a report that Ada may be working with Lewis, and he has a particularly valuable sample that they need back. Meanwhile, Ada receives orders from Wesker to get the sample Lewis now has, but also kill Leon. And while she downplays Leon's impact in all this, she secretly refuses to kill Leon, thinking to instead protect him, as alongside personal feelings, she will also use him to further her own mission in all this. Lewis catches up to Leon, explaining he has what they need, but he is suddenly impaled from behind by Saddler with a menacing tentacle, who takes back the sample and tosses away Lewis's dead body. As Saddler quickly leaves, Leon rushes to Lewis, who hands him a suppressant to the growth of his parasite, and explains he was a researcher hired by Saddler. Before he dies, he tells Leon he must get the sample Saddler back at all costs. He then hears the cries of Ashley, still in the castle's trap. Freeing her, she makes her way back to Leon in a brief segment where the player briefly controls a weaponless Ashley. Finally back together, the duo continue on through some increasingly bizarre sections of the castle and outlandish death traps from Salazar that almost turn them into a sandwich. Regardless, a Novistador swoops in and snatches Ashley from Leon, and once again he moves to rescue her from Salazar's grasp. He catches up to them but falls right into their prepared trap, but he comes prepared, saving himself at the last second and readies a counterattack. Salazar is infuriated, leading Ashley away and sending his right hand out to kill Leon once and for all. In the sewers beneath the castle though, Leon dodges the scythe-like tail of Salazar's bodyguard, a unique BOW called the Verdugo, but Leon is undeterred in destroying it and moving on. Elsewhere, Saddler takes note that Salazar is struggling to kill Leon, and so he sends in Jack Krauser, an old partner of Leon's, to retrieve Ashley for a ritual and kill Leon. Meanwhile, Leon learns that when the first head Salazar sealed the Plagas, they did die on their own without hosts, and their remains petrified. When Ramon Salazar allowed the seal to be removed, excavators unknowingly inhaled spores of the actually dormant Plagas, infecting themselves, and fresh Plagas incubated and grew in the villagers, reviving the parasite and the cult. Emerging in the caves where the Plagas are still being excavated, he fights through mineshafts and smelting pits, while finding a letter from Ada on what he can do to help remove the parasite from his own body and Ashley, though Ashley has been infected longer than he has. Taking an express minecart ride out of the catacombs, Leon then makes his way back to the castle. Finding a strange stonework Salazar robot, he outruns this extreme hazard and right into the real Salazar, who tells him Ashley is about to enter a ritual that will endow her with new power. Leon cuts right to the point, forcing Salazar away again, which forces Leon to deal with comically rolling barrels down a stairwell as he ascends the same tower. Storming in, Salazar informs Leon he just missed Ashley, as the ritual is now over and his men took her to a different island. He then says it's finally time to deal with Leon personally, as he and his bodyguard allow themselves to be merged with a giant queen plaga almost the size of the tower itself. The three monsters fused together are still no match for Leon, as he sadly defeats the crazed Castle Keep and patron of the Los Illuminados. Descending down, he is welcomed by Ada to drive him to the island, and he takes her up on the offer. As they sail, there is still some romantic tension between the two, though when they arrive, Ada grapple hooks away, and Leon quips about his bad luck with the women in his life. On this island, there appears to be a military base, making the infected within all the more dangerous with their improved armor and weaponry. He's right on the heels of Ashley, and even spots which cell they're keeping her in. Venturing deeper in the base, he finds labs with notes from Lewis wherein they were developing new BOWs with plagas, like the El Gigante, the Novistadores, and Regenerator, a humanoid with multiple leech-like plagas within that enabled near-instant regeneration. Moving past them in a crane game in the waste disposal area, he finds a radio tower and attempts to radio aside for the backup Hunnigan sent, as he soon finds and rescues Ashley again from captivity. A lovingly signed letter sails in from Ada, letting them know of a way out, and as they jump down the garbage chute, they must deal with a spikier regenerator called an Iron Maiden. With Ashley now by his side, Leon can now push heavier boxes, open wider doors, and have her drive slow-moving tractors out of the base. Their progress is halted by Saddler, who is able to paralyze Leon instantly thanks to the dominant plaga he wields with ultrasonic control over all slave plagas, like the one in Leon and Ashley. He then turns to Ashley and easily places her under his control, and though Leon is gripped by pain, he manages to toss a tracker on her this time as she is led away by Saddler. Meanwhile, Krauser meets with Ada, keeping tabs on Leon and the sample that's with Saddler, and he makes it clear neither he nor Wesker trusts Ada. He even threatens to kill her if she tries anything, but Ada dismisses him, not caring what he thinks and reminding him she's known Wesker longer than he has. Krauser then takes matters into his own hands, ambushing Leon and revealing himself to not only have faked his death 2 years ago, but also having been the one to kidnap Ashley from America in the first place, just to win the trust of Saddler and get the special plaga he developed. As the two CQC masters trade blows, Krauser lets slip that this is to help Umbrella, and Leon is surprised to hear the name again. Krauser then overpowers him, though luckily Leon receives a helping hand from Ada again when she shoots away Krauser's blade. Krauser is unsurprised at Ada's betrayal, pulling away for now, just as Leon is unsurprised at Ada watching over him and slipping away without answering his questions. Saddler now radios Leon to taunt him, but Leon is never short for cutting witty banter. As Leon passes through a surprisingly advanced laser grid hallway, his quick reflexes and agility earn him passage and a quick moment of spite and respite in Saddler's throne room. Now traversing more underground caves, Leon fends off and defeats a strange experimental fusion of human, insect, and lizard, simply labeled U3. Making his way outside, where he learns Krauser plans on killing both him and Ada as a gift to Wesker, Krauser himself comes out, commenting on Ada and Leon's relationship, as he holds nothing back as he unleashes an explosive bow, traps, and CQC against Leon. As it turns out, after Krauser lost use of his arm in the South American mission, he faked his death and sought out Wesker, who fixed his arm and earned Krauser's loyalty. Working for Wesker now, he earned a sample of the dominant plaga from Saddler, and thus can transform his once useless arm into a powerful bladed fan-like arm. Defeating the plaga within him, Leon defeats Krauser, allowing his old comrade to fall to his own trap and weakening him enough for Ada to finish him off. Leon then runs into a small army of well-armed Ganados, but luckily he is hailed by helicopter backup that finally arrives. Introducing himself as Mike lays waste to the standing Ganados and their emplacements, relieving Leon on the ground to make his way through the cliffside resistance. Unfortunately, after sweeping clean all bogeys, Mike is caught off guard by an RPG directed by Saddler, shooting him down and sending Leon's backup exploding against the cliff base. He's soon met by Ada, and Leon begins to suffer another attack from his parasite. He suddenly grabs Ada and begins strangling her, but she kicks him away, stabbing him in the leg and knocking him back to his senses again. She urges Leon to get the parasite out of his body ASAP and agrees to help him, as he insists on finding Ashley first, so she splits up for now. Navigating past the prison, Leon confronts Saddler, but thanks to Ada's support, he's able to not only free her, but also escape for now. He finds notes from Lewis in which, while he was researching Las Plagas, he also developed a way to remove the parasite from the host, though the longer one waits, the riskier the procedure is. Finding Lewis's machine, Leon tests the procedure on himself first, and while painful, he survives the operation. So, repeating the same for Ashley, the two are finally rid of their plagas and ready to return home now. Sensing something wrong as he leaves, Leon ascends a platform outside to find Ada strung up unconscious and Saddler standing nearby. Saddler tries to control Leon, but it's obvious he's not infected anymore, as he frees Ada and tells her to stand back. Saddler now mutates into his true monstrous form, and as Leon keeps it at bay on the Rain Sweat platform, Ada once again tosses Leon the tool he needs to take aim and end this nightmare once and for all. As the leader of the Los Luminados cult and dominant Plaga he retained are destroyed, Leon spots the sample Saddler was developing, and picking it up, he's halted at gunpoint by Ada. As the game ends, she takes it from him and runs just as her ride arrives, and as she triggers a self-destruct on the island, she also tosses Leon a means of escape, and bids farewell for now. However, as it turns out, she's been a double agent this entire time, not only helping Leon out against Wesker's orders from behind the scenes, but also sending Wesker a normal Plaga sample and not the special dominant one Saddler developed, instead working for a third entity. Hurrying to her stowed jet ski, Leon and Ashley ride out with the Plaga's base and research lab exploding behind them. Mission accomplished, Ashley offers Leon some overtime when they get back to her place, but he politely declines. When she asks Leon who Ada was, Leon simply replies she's a part of him he can't let go. As they ride into the sunset, Hannigan is able to get through to Leon and get them rescue, and Leon notes how cute she looks without her glasses and makes a pass at her, to which she shoots him down. Sighing again, Leon quips how he can never win with the ladies. Resident Evil 4 has enjoyed the success of selling over 7.6 million copies worldwide.